Dana White is the face of the UFC and the driving force behind the explosion of mixed martial arts worldwide. From humble beginnings to transforming the UFC into a multi-billion-dollar company, Dana White's story is one of grit, determination, and business genius. Today, we'll explore the life of Dana White, from his early childhood to becoming the most influential figure in MMA. Dana Frederick White was born on July 28, 1969 in Manchester, Connecticut, but he will spend much of his childhood in the streets of South Boston. Raised by a single mother, Dana's early life was far from glamorous. He grew up in a tough, working-class neighborhood, but from a young age, he had rebellious spirit and passion for fighting. Dana's love for boxing started at an early age. As a teenager, he began training in boxing, fascinated by the sport's intensity and raw nature. But it wasn't just the thrill of fight that captivated him. He was drawn to the business side of the sports as well.
In my life is I knew exactly what I wanted to do.
Before Dana White became a household name, life was a grind. In the 1980s and 90s, he bounced around, working odd jobs like bellhop and bouncer.
I worked in Boston at a place called the Boston Harbor Hotel. I was a bellman in there. I was 19 years old. I made good money. You know, there's some guys that get those jobs, and those are the type of jobs they want those jobs forever. And it's a good job. It's not a bad job. It just wasn't for me.
He even tried college, but it wasn't for him. Deep down, Dana knew he was destined for something bigger. In the early 90s, Dana found his niche when he started teaching boxing and fitness classes. He moved to Las Vegas when he established his own gym and trained some of the city's elites. But despite his entrepreneurial spirit, Dana was struggling financially, even receiving threats from mobsters who demanded money from his gym. Little did Dana knew, fate was about to intervene. In 1995, Dana White reconnected with his childhood friend Lorenzo, who's along with his brother Frank, would soon change Dana's life forever. Around this time, Dana became manager for MMA fighters, including future UFC champions like Tito Ortiz and Chuck Liddell. The UFC, founded in 1993, was struggling. The sport was raw, unregulated, and considered too violent for mainstream audiences. By the late 90s, it was on the verge of bankruptcy. In 2001, Dana White saw an opportunity. He approached his old friend Lorenzo with an idea: buying the UFC.
And through that, I found out that the UFC was in trouble. And like I said, Lorenzo and I were going to get involved in boxing. They were down in Miami. I called them and said, I think this thing's in trouble. I think we could buy the UFC.
For $2 million, the Fertitta brothers bought the UFC, and Dana White was named the president.
What Dana has evolved into is literally the greatest fight promoter. I don't think anybody has built and accomplished what Dana has. He has the ability to really be out there, sell fights, understand what the consumer wants. Dana was the perfect fit because he had what you can't teach, which is an incredible drive and an incredible amount of common sense and the ability to understand people and understand the consumer.
But this was just the beginning of uphill battle. With the UFC in financial turmoil, Dana and the Fertitta brothers had to take drastic measures to rebuild the brand. They began to clean up the sport and planting rules and seeking regulations. It wasn't easy. Many states refused to sanction the UFC, and finding broadcast partner was nearly impossible. But Dana's relentless attitude never wavered. He knocked on doors, attended meetings, and refused to take no for an answer. In 2005, Dana White made one of the most pivotal decisions in the UFC history. With no major TV deals in sight, Dana and his team produced The Ultimate Fighter, a reality TV show that shows the sport's top upcoming fighters. It aired on Spike TV, and the final fight was between Forrest Griffin and Stephen Bonner. Was a game changer. The fight was an instant classic. It captured the attention of millions, and the UFC exploded in popularity overnight. The Ultimate Fighter gave Dana the platform he needed to showcase the sport's potential to mainstream audiences. With this success, Dana secured new partnerships, TV deals, and brought the to a wider audience. From that point forward, Dana White was unstoppable. He pushed for the global expansion of the UFC, hosting events in Europe, South America, and Asia. Under Dana's leadership, the UFC grew into a multi-billion-dollar empire, with events broadcasted over 150 countries. In 2016, the UFC was sold for a staggering $4 billion for an entertainment agency, WME-IMG, making it the largest sports transactions in history at the time. But Dana wasn't done. He remains as a president, continued to grow the brand and push boundaries of the UFC could achieve. Dana White was known for his no-nonsense attitude and brash leadership style. Whether dealing with fighters, the media, or rival promotion, Dana doesn't mince words. At the center of many controversies, he's been at the center of many controversies over the years, from fighter pay disputes to high-profile disagreements with athletes like Conor McGregor.
He's a big mouth idiot.
I think it's disgusting. I think he's disgusting, and I never want to see him reffing ever again.
Despite the criticism, Dana's commitment to the UFC and his fighters is undeniable. He's a man who fights for what he believes in, and his passion for the sport has helped elevate MMA to new heights. As of today, Dana White's impact of the world of combat sports is undeniable. He's turned the UFC from a struggling promotion into a global powerhouse. And along the way, he revolutionized how we view and appreciate mixed martial arts. He's giving countless fighters the platform to showcase their skills and to make a name for themselves.
You shouldn't do the type of charity work where you go out and beat your chest and walk around with big stupid checks and, you know, go on the court and hand them to them and all this other stuff. It's phony, it's fake, it's bullshit. You either give because you want to give and you do it low key and you do your thing, you know, or you don't. You don't do it for publicity.
Beyond the octagon, Dana White has also made an impact on the business world. His success story has inspired entrepreneurs and sports executives. His influence reaches far beyond the cage. Dana White's journey from a working-class kid in Boston to a head of a global sports empire is the ultimate success story. His relentless work ethics, his passion for sports, and his refusal for taking no for an answer has made him one of the most influential figures in modern sports. As the UFC continues to grow, Dana White's legacy will live on for generations to come. If you liked the episode, make sure to like and subscribe, and stay tuned for the next episode.